snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hi guys, so I am here today to do my April wrap up. I cannot believe that it's almost May. May is the last month that I am at uni in my second year. I do have one more year after this, which means that May is going to be really hectic. So although I had a fantastic reading month in April due to the Easter holidays, I don't think I'm going to have such a great one in May. But once May is done, I will be so excited because then I've got June, July, August and most of September completely free to read whatever I want, whenever I want. So that is exciting. Yay! Anyway, on to the books that I managed to read in the month of April. I actually managed to finish up 18 books. Today is only the 28th. I'm filming this a little bit early because I want to get it done before May comes around and it's all hectic. So I probably will finish one or two more in the time between now and the end of the month. So I will tell you also which books I'm currently reading. So I managed to read 18 books and I was absolutely amazed by the fact that I did that because I did not anticipate reading 18 books. So the first book that I ended up reading was Kinslayer, which is the second one in the Lotus War series, and this is by J. Kristoff. I picked this up on a whim from the library and ended up absolutely adoring it, absolutely loving being back in the world, and therefore I read it without it being on my TBR and I just loved it so much and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It was amazing. I've done reviews for pretty much all of these books except the last few, so you can check them out on my channel if you want to know more about any of the books I tell you guys about, but Kinslayer was just phenomenal and amazing and I remembered why I loved that series so much, so definitely go check that one out if you like steampunk and really cool, awesome stories, because that one is one. Then I picked up The Crown Tower, which is the first one in the Readathon Chronicles by Michael J. Sullivan, and I read this as a buddy read and I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I got through it really quickly and it's just a whole lot of fun being back with the characters who we love. And I really enjoyed the story. I ended up giving it a 5 out of 5 stars because I just couldn't get over being back with the characters and having such a good time romping around. Seeing how they met each other was just great, and I have no doubt that the second one, which we're planning to read next month, hopefully, will be fantastic, so I cannot wait for that one. Then I watched a video where there was The Little Storm Dancer being shown. It's supposed to be read after the first book in the Lotus War series, and it's a one-off print edition that they gave out at a certain convention, and so you can't buy the book, but there is a video which I watched and they have kind of a video showcasing what's in the book, so I will put a link to that down below if you guys want to check that out if you are interested. So I'm kind of counting that, even though it's a tiny book, it's mostly illustrated and I didn't technically read it myself. I watched a video of someone else reading it, but I really enjoyed it. It was very wonderfully illustrated and it was a lovely addition to the series, so I gave that one a 4 out of 5 stars. Then I went on to the third one and final one in the Lotus War trilogy by J. Kristoff, and that is Endsinger, and I absolutely adored it. It was so good, so brutal, so crazy, so epic. It was just fantastic. This series is definitely solidly one of my favourites, and I really loved it. So again, another 5-star book. As you guys can see, the month started out very well. Then I moved on to The Iron Jackal, which is by Chris Wooding. This is the third one in the Ketty J series, and I'm super excited to finish up the series in May with the fourth one. I love this one. I read it with Mercedes and we always have a good time reading these books. They are always a whole lot of fun and different to what you expect them to be. You never really know what's going to happen and it's always so much fun and entertaining. So I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. Really good. And I really enjoyed it. Then I moved on to The Last Storm Dancer, which is a novella. You don't have to have read the Lotus War series to get it, but it's a really interesting story. It's very short and it's kind of cool because it's told from the point of view of the Arashidora, who is basically a thunder tiger, and they play quite a big part in the main series. And I really enjoyed this one, and I think I gave it a 4.5 or a 4, but I, again, really enjoyed it. It was very short, very easy to get through. I would highly recommend that series. Then I picked up The Skull Throne, which is the fourth one in the Demon Cycle by Peter V. Brett. This only came out this month, and I read it in like 2 days because I was supposed to be meeting him, as you guys will have seen on my video. I loved this book so much. It was so much better than I thought it was going to be, and I have been waiting for ages for this book to come out and really eagerly anticipating it. It was my most anticipated read of the year. I could not wait, and I definitely was not disappointed by this. It was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. I gave it a massive 5 out of 5 stars. I have done a review for this, so check out the review, but I just absolutely loved this, and it was so much fun. So if you've not read the Demon Cycle series, I am actually holding a giveaway right now, which I will put a link to in the description. It goes on until the 15th of May, so you can still enter if you haven't, and you could win a book from this series. I'm super excited about giving a book in this series away to one of you guys because I love this series. It is one of my all-time favourites, and I definitely think more people should read it because it's just wonderful. Then I went on to The Black Prism by Brent Weeks. This is the first one in his Lightbringer series, which is kind of really interesting because it's a magic system that is very complicated and yet really interesting. It's all around colour and manipulation of colour and manipulation of luxin, which is kind of what the colour turns into. It was really good. I read this as a buddy read, and I have to say I really enjoyed it. It was a bit of a slow burner. It began quite slowly and it took a lot of exposition to really understand what was happening with the magic system, but by the ending I was completely hooked, and Brent Weeks is solidly a great writer. I really love his stuff, so I will definitely be continuing on with this series next month as well. And I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars, really fun, and I definitely enjoyed this one. Next, I read a book that I got sent for free, and this is Digitarum by Derek Bailey. I actually wasn't sure what this one was all about, but it turned out to be a very short kind of retake on the creation story and on mythologies and religions. And it was really interestingly done. There were certainly some things that I didn't anticipate, and there were certainly some moments where it was quite thought-provoking, and it definitely made me think about things a little bit more. I'm not sure if I would say that this was fantasy or sci-fi. It's kind of a mix of both of them, but I did enjoy this one a lot, and I definitely felt like if it was longer I would have really loved it, because obviously I like long books, but because it was a little bit shorter it just didn't quite have the development I wanted. So overall I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's definitely still worth a read, and if you're into shorter fiction then it's probably a really good one for you guys to check out. Next I picked up Saga issue 27, and I loved this. It was so good. Saga remains one of my all-time favourite graphic novel series ever, and it just continues to get better and better. This one I gave 5 out of 5 stars. It was back on form, fantastic, so much fun, and I would highly recommend this series. If you haven't read it before, definitely check it out. It's so much fun and I love it. So yeah, 5 out of 5 stars for that one. Then unfortunately my month took a downward turn with The Dragon's Path by Daniel Abraham. I read this thinking I would really like it, thinking there'd be awesome dragons. There's no dragons in this book. The title's very misleading. Unfortunately this series just didn't quite gel with what I wanted it to be. I didn't realise how focused it was going to be on money. Money is definitely a huge integral part of the plot. It's an integral part of the characters. Their lives all revolve around it, and it's really a big deal in this world, which I didn't quite comprehend when I began it. Therefore, I wasn't really in the right mindset to really enjoy it, so I think I only gave this a 2 or a 2.5 stars. I didn't love this one, unfortunately. I have heard that the series gets a lot better as you go through, and the ending of the book was really good, but unfortunately the first 3/4 were not good enough to kind of make me want to continue, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be continuing with this series or not. However, I am currently reading Leviathan Wakes by him, and absolutely loving it. So I think this one is definitely a better one of his books in my opinion. I know it says James S.A. Corey, but that is actually Daniel Abraham and Ty Frank, so they are a duo who write together and write the Expanse series. Moving on, I then picked up some graphic novels. I picked up the first volume of Black Science by Rick Remender, and this is my first Rick Remender graphic novel, but I really enjoyed it. It did take a little while to get into. The first few issues were a bit confusing, and I wasn't really sure what was happening with them. But as I got farther through and I started to understand which character was which and how all of the backstory kind of related and everything like that, I started to really enjoy this. The colours and everything are wonderful, and it's definitely one of those series that once you take the time to get into it, it's a lot of fun. So I am going to be picking up the next one in this series, and I ended up giving this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Then I picked up The Fade Out, which is by Ed Brubaker, and this is a kind of crime noir graphic novel, and I didn't know if I was going to like this or not, but I saw it on Amanda's channel, so I wanted to pick it up and give it a go, and I'm so happy that I did because I thoroughly enjoyed this. It kept me on the edge of my seat at some times. It was really tense, very dramatic, and it definitely got to me more than I thought it would, but it was really interesting, very well told, and I'm definitely going to be picking up the next one in this series because it was so good and I loved it. So this one I gave a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Then I kind of last minute decided that I was going to participate in the Dewey's 24-hour readathon because I saw quite a few other people doing it. I didn't put up a TBR video or anything like that. I just decided I would leap in and have some of my shorter books and graphic novels and I would read them. So I ended up picking up a couple of the English Black 80th anniversary edition thingies. So I wanted to read them. So the first one that I ended up reading was Goblin Market by Christina Rossetti. This is actually a collection of her poems, the first one being Goblin Market and then a couple of other ones. There were certainly some that were better than others. I did like Goblin Market because I had already studied it in school and I knew a lot about that poem, and it was quite nice to return to it and reread it, not in the context of a kind of analysis or anything like that. So I did enjoy that one. I also really enjoyed the one about the Queen of Hearts. That one was really good, but equally there were some that I don't think I really understood at all. Poetry's definitely very subjective and I think she's not my favourite poet, so I ended up giving this one a 3 out of 5 stars, but it was definitely interesting to read and for ATP, very good value. Next I picked up The Tinderbox by Hans Christian Andersen, and I had already read The Tinderbox. I'd already read a few others in here as well, and I really enjoyed returning to them because they're kind of like fairy tale stories and they're very frank and very to the point and very funny in the way that they're told. I'm not sure if that's intentional or not, but it was just really lovely to return to them. They're actually a lot more brutal than I remember them being when I was younger, but it was very fun and I definitely enjoyed this one more, and so I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. Then also in the Dewey's 24-hour readathon I picked up volume 2 of Chew and I managed to finish this off. I'd already started it, I was a few pages in, and I love this book and I love this series so much. It was really good. I ended up giving this one a 4.5 because it slightly lacked a few of the things I really like about the series, such as the Chibopath visions. They weren't as prominent a part of the story and it definitely felt a little bit more focused on the love, but I still think it was definitely a good setup book and it seemed to set up really well for the next one in the series, which I also picked up in the Dewey's 24-hour readathon. This is volume 3 of Chew, and I love this one. It was back on top form 100%, really enjoyable. I managed to whiz through this one and it was just fantastic. So this one I gave a 5 out of 5 stars, and there were some wonderful pages in this book, so I really enjoyed it and I think it's fantastic. And then the final one that I managed to get done in the 24-hour readathon, because I was quite busy as well and it was a very last minute decision to participate, it had already started when I started, was The Voyage of Sir Francis Drake Around the Whole Globe by Richard Hakluyt. I'm not sure how you say that. But this one was quite an interesting one because it was obviously a non-fiction account of their journey around the globe, and there were 2 different stories. The first one was the one with Sir Francis Drake and the second one was Thomas Cavendish. I definitely found it interesting seeing their journey, seeing how they interacted with the tribes that they came across, and things like that was really cool. Equally, it definitely showed me how pirate-like and horrible the British used to be, so I definitely can understand why people hated the British back then. They were not nice people, so it's definitely an eye-opener, and for ATP, again, very good value. But I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. All of those ones that I read in the Dewey's 24-hour readathon I will be doing a review of very soon, so look out for that. And then the final one that I got done in the month of April was House of Chains. I finished this yesterday and it's by Stephen Erickson. It's the 4th one in his series of the Malazan Book of the Fallen, and I'm reading this with my Goodreads group, which I'll put a link to down below if you guys want to take part in that. I absolutely love this book. It was so good. It was really wonderful. It focuses a lot on one character, which I really enjoyed, and I love that character's personality and the things that they did and the way they developed. It was fantastic. Also, the plot was really interesting. There are a lot of plot lines with a lot of people who I really enjoy, and following their stories was fantastic. So again, this one, because I've only just finished it, I will have a review of this one up very, very soon. And yeah, you guys can look out for that. So those are all of the books that I managed to finish in the month of April. There are a few others that I didn't get to. I didn't get to City of Stairs even though I wanted to, so that one is kind of on hold for the moment, but I do plan on reading it at some point. Also, I started Range of Ghosts by Elizabeth Eyre, and I really didn't like that one, so I'm kind of halfway through it but not loving it, so I put that one down. And I'm not sure if I will return to that one. I know a lot of other people in our group read it and really enjoyed it, so maybe I just wasn't in the right mindset at the time, but I wasn't loving it, so I put that one down. Might get back to it at some point, but I'm not sure exactly when. I'm also still reading Leviathan Wakes, which I plan on finishing up today, so this one should be in next month's wrap-up. I'm also reading Heartless by Gail Carriger, which I am about a quarter of the way through, and hopefully again I can finish that one this month. Really loving it, but I just haven't had the time to get to it until the very end of the month. I'm also reading Samuel Pepys's The Great Fire of London, which is another Penguin one, so hopefully I can finish this one up. And then Malice by John Gwynne. I'm really enjoying this. Again, I'm hoping to finish this one up this month, so hopefully, fingers crossed, I can get to all of them in this month, and that won't be a problem, and then they won't be carried over into next month. Finally, you guys will notice that I haven't actually read a Wheel of Time book this month, and usually I do. So my current plan with Wheel of Time is that I am putting it off until June once I have finished university for this year, and then I will have all of the summer in order to finish up 11, 12, 13 and 14, and I definitely think I can do that in like June and July for sure if I marathon them, because I'm sure they're going to be great, but I don't want to like try and squeeze them in and not enjoy them. Let me know if there are any books here that you guys have read or are interested in. Let me know your thoughts on them all. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all very soon in another video. Bye! Me and you gonna have a little chat about the